Thank you for joining us for Starting Smart with AI. We're going to go through some practical tools to boost efficiency and spark innovation for AI use in education. Um, this webinar will be recorded, like I mentioned earlier, and we will post on YouTube when we are finished. I'm Dorothy Carlson. I'm an educational technology coach here in PUSD. And with us is Hannah Hudak, also an ed tech coach in PUSD. So here's our agenda for the evening. We're going to start with a brief introduction. Then we're going to look at considerations and AI literacies before we jump into the tools. Our tool today is Magic School and Canva AI Design for Me. And then we'll offer some resources at the end. Our outcomes for today are first that we build an understanding of AI literacy for safe, ethical, and responsible use. And second, that we develop an understanding of how AI can be used for creating resources and teacher efficiency. Creating resources and teacher efficiency are two great uses for AI, but they're not the only uses for AI in education. AI can also be used for student feedback, personalizing learning, and gamifying learning. We'll jump into those topics later in the spring webinar. All right, considerations. Before starting with AI, whether you're using it as a teacher or looking to use it with students, it's important to keep these four considerations in mind. The first is digital citizenship. Digital citizenship helps students and teachers with the frame of mind they need to use any digital tool, including AI, ethically, safely, and responsibly. The second is leading with empathy. AI is a new tool and it's really fun and exciting to use, whether you're a teacher or a student. So it's important that as we better understand what AI is, we offer guidance to students and set really clear expectations for what safe, ethical, responsible use looks like so that they know what's expected of them and they're able to meet those expectations and we're able to guide them when they maybe make a choice that isn't right. The third consideration is data privacy and security. It's important that students are asked to use um, AI tools that have data privacy agreements with Poway Unified. There are several federal laws that protect student data privacy, and we want to be sure that we're doing that when we use tools in our classroom. If you're not sure if a tool you're interested in using has a data privacy agreement, please reach out to EdTech and we'll offer that email at the end of the webinar. And last but not least is assessing for equity and bias. AI tools can create some pretty exciting things pretty quickly, but they're only as good as the data that they're trained on. This can sometimes result in bias in the outputs or inaccurate results. Your judgment matters. So use AI for initial work, but make sure you add your final touch and review it for anything that may not be quite right for the context that you're wanting to use the output in.
Thank you so much, Dorothy. Now, before we get into the actual tools, we also want to build some AI literacy, and we're going to do that with a teachable machine. Here, this teachable machine is going to show us the basics of how machine learning works, which is the foundation of for a lot of AI. I'm going to click here on our example. And now that we're in the teachable machine, you can see there's a video, you can see myself, and as I go closer and farther away, this teachable machine is deciding, am I a dinosaur, a sloth, or a butterfly? And you might be wondering, how does this teachable machine know? If we go back to our slides, I can show you a little bit more about how we built this. So when we have our teachable machines, we have our inputs. where we put the data. So you can see in this example, we had images for dinosaur, images for sloth, and images for butterfly. You may have noticed that as I was farther away, I was being identified as a dinosaur, and our image samples are where the person is furthest away. When I got a little bit closer, I became a sloth. And when I got super close to the camera, I became a butterfly. Now, the machine knew this based on this data that I upload and then trained to get our results. But you may have noticed that the machine was not actually thinking like we do as humans. Instead, it was analyzing the image and deciding, am I dinosaur, sloth, or butterfly? And that is because the machine is looking at these images and starting to find patterns. It is not doing any thinking of its own. It's not looking at our face or the clothing or the objects around me. It's analyzing the colors, the brightness, the pixels. It's looking for the location of those colors and brightnesses because that's all it knows. And sometimes it will even make mistakes, especially if lighting changes, because again, it's not looking at context or having any understanding like humans do. It's just looking at the patterns within the pixels. It's analyzing. But humans, we notice things like the faces, the facial expressions, the types of clothing we're wearing, items in the background, and we are able to make judgment. That is why your judgment as an educator is so important. The AI outputs are not always going to be correct. Before you share anything that you generate with AI with your students, we have to evaluate it carefully, again, for that bias that Dorothy mentioned previously. Now, it is so important for our students to understand this as well. One tool we can use with our elementary students to practice is AI for Oceans, which is from code.org. And this is very similar to our dinosaur, sloth, butterfly example, except here, the students are helping teach a machine to identify trash versus fish to help keep the ocean clean. Again, they are going to be teaching this machine to analyze instead of evaluate. This will give students that hands-on experience with the basics of machine learning. One reason that we might want to use AI tools in our classroom is for teacher efficiency. When we are using these AI tools, it's going to create more small group or individual time with our students in class. It's going to help reduce our workload. It's going to increase educators' abilities to support students' needs and personalized learning. And it's going to provide that actionable, real-time data that will help us inform instruction. Let's go ahead and get into some tools. The first tool we wanted to share today is Magic School. Magic School uses AI to provide over 60 different tools to assist teachers with tasks such as lesson planning, creating assignments and rubrics, generating educational materials, and differentiating content for diverse learners. Now, as we mentioned, when we first go on to Magic School, you will see there are over 60 tools to explore, but we are just going to model two of them for you today. The first one we would like to model is our DOK questions. Here, you are able to put in your grade level. For this example, we have fifth grade, the topic that you are studying, American Revolution, and then the standards that you would like to align it to. Once you have put in that information, you simply click Generate, and Magic School will create DOK levels at DOK level questions at all four levels with that topic in mind. You can then decide how you would like the students to answer those questions. The second tool we wanted to model today was the report card generator. Now, with our report card comments, we know report cards are coming up, and we have the generator here, which will help us to come up with comments around student strengths and areas of growth. In this example, I am a third grade teacher. We put in our student pronouns and then the areas of strength and areas of growth. In this example, these are all ELA focused. So I have 4 strengths here related to ELA, as well as 4 areas of growth. I'm going to click Generate. And after just a moment, Magic School will come up with a short paragraph about those areas of strength as well as a short paragraph for the opportunities for growth. Now, one important note with our report card comment is that this tool is really intended as a starting point and a resource for phrasing ideas. It can help get you inspired or help you structure your report card comments, but it should not replace your professional judgment. Comments should always be personalized to reflect each student's unique progress, strengths, and areas of growth. You'll also see on the next slide, there is an example where our behavior and social emotional comments as well. So this report card comments can provide both curriculum-based ELA, math, science, social studies, but also those social emotional and behavior comments as well. The second tool that we wanted to explore is Canva Design for Me. Now, Canva has many activities and resources, but this is their AI tools. So this AI feature helps to design slide decks, handouts, and posters. It can also create project templates for research or long-term assignments, student portfolios, or storyboards. It can also help you to jumpstart creativity by prototyping a design or an assignment. When you hop into Canva and you see your main page here, you'll have your designs, templates, and then we have the Canva AI button. So we'll make sure we click Canva AI, and then there will be some different AI tools for you to pick from. In this case, we're going to pick Design for Me. Once we have our Design for Me up and ready, we're going to put in our prompt. Here's our sample prompt. We are going to create a slide deck introducing Veterans Day to a first grade class. Make the slide deck colorful, informative, and appropriate for young learners. Include 5 to 6 slides with simple text, easy to read fonts, and bright and engaging visuals. The slide should cover what Veterans Day is, why we celebrate it, and ways to show respect for veterans. Include 1 to 2 discussion questions or activities for students. Before we head into Design for Me, we also wanted to highlight a resource we have about prompting. Prompting is so important when we are using AI tools because the better that our prompt is and the more detailed, the better the output is going to be. Here, this prompt reminds you to think about the role and audience, context, task and details, and remembering that AI works from data. So the more we give it, the better the output will be. There are also some examples of some not so great prompts, a little better, and our most detailed prompts, as well as a sentence frame. Let's take a look at Design for Me. Here you can see I took that prompt right from our slide, and Canva was able to come up with a few different colorful and engaging slide decks related to Veterans Day. So I can take a look through here. And if there's one that I'm interested in, I can actually click on it. It will make it bigger. And so I'm liking this one here because it included what Veterans Day is, why we celebrate, ways to show respect, and then some discussion questions, just like I asked in the prompt. The only thing I'm wishing is that the color scheme was a little bit different and that I had some different photos. Some of those edits I can actually make right here. You'll notice when I hover over these different boxes, a little border comes up. And so if I wanted to change this photo, for example, I can click and there will give me some ideas. I could also search if I was looking for others. Now, other edits I have to actually make in the Canva editor. So if I still would like to make changes, besides changing things like photos and text, I'm going to click Use Canva Editor. And it is going to fully give me all editing rights to this slide deck. So I would like the color scheme to be a little bit different because it's Veterans Day. So rather than these purples, I'm going to go over to Design. I'm going to type in Veterans Day. And I'm liking that there's a little bit more red, white, and blue here. So what I can do is I can actually click these 3 dots and I can just apply the colors to my slide deck. I like how that's looking. I can apply it to all pages. And now these are the colors I was looking for. From here, I can decide if I want to just present this to the class, I could create a template link to push out to my students, and they could have their own copy of this slide deck, or I can embed it right into our Canvas course. Just to review, when we're using Canva Design for Me, we're going to start by prompting and creating. Then we're going to iterate, where we can add details, change aspects, or even ask Canva to change the look and the feel of the design. Once we have found a template we like, we choose that rough draft and make those edits in the Canva editor, changing color schemes, photos, or text. And then we get to use it with students, either downloading and printing it, creating that template link for them to access on their own, or embedding in our Canvas course. One important thing to note is that Canva AI is really optimized for originality. What this means is you would want to use this feature when you are creating something brand new. If you already have a slide deck, maybe in Google Slides or even another Canva design, and you are just wanting to update it, that is where you would want to use the Canva templates. This design for me is really when we are creating something from scratch that we have never created before. Before we go, we want to make sure that we share resources with you related to today's presentation. So all of those digital citizenship resources that Dorothy was mentioning when she was going over our considerations are housed here on our digital citizenship Canvas course. Once you're in here, you will be able to scroll down to our AI resources. Within our digital citizenship Canvas course, we have AI resources, and the first area that we focus on is AI literacy. As you scroll down, you will see resources to build your students' AI literacy. For elementary, we have our grades 3 to 5 interactive lessons from code.org. We have those AI literacy pieces, the data privacy, as well as the AI and educators section. This is where you will be able to find that platforms for education purposeful use tool, which goes into, again, how you can use AI also for student feedback, personalized learning, as well as gamified learning, and some more resources for you to explore. And when you're ready, there are also AI and student links when we are using AI tools with our students. But again, we will go way more in depth with that in our spring session. We also wanted to share our PUSD Learning Center. This is where you will be able to access all of our webinars, the recordings, as well as resources shared. So you can see we have our Canvas resources here, the recordings from the webinars that we did in August, as well as the resources. And then after today's session, we will get our secondary and elementary AI and education linked, and the resources are already there for you. If you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to us at edtech@powayusd.com, as well as following us on Instagram at PUSD Innovate and YouTube at Technology and Innovation. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at our next webinar.